I didn't want to have to reinvent what I was trying to do with my health, my body. I don't know everything about that. And I wanted to be able to trust somebody like you and ultimately trust you.
Hi, guys, it's Dr. Ryan, and today we're going to talk to Cary. Cary's one of my patients in the clinic, and about his experiences in regards to joining Summa Up before and after. So, Cary, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do, some of the hobbies you participate in?
Yeah. Well, I'm 55 years old as of January 16th, and I live in North Georgia. I've been here all my life. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a roofing business. I'm a grandfather, a father, husband. Love my life.
That's really awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your situation, both clinically, physically, emotionally, prior to starting up with Summa Up. What were some of the problems that you were trying to solve specifically?
Well, my energy levels were just going down, and I didn't have a lot of energy to devote to business. When I devoted all I had to business, I had no family, and certainly didn't want to have any fun with hobbies. I love to race cars with my son. We go and, do a lot of things together. And I just was running out of energy. I felt bad. My body ached, my joints, everything just really, it was rough. Physically, I felt horrible. Mentally, I didn't feel as bad as I did physically, but it was taking its toll on me there too. So couldn't focus a long time during the day on my business or anything else. And so I was looking to really gain energy and gain, physical well-being, feel better, so that, mentally I could stand my challenges each day of business and enjoying my family. I've got grandkids, whole lot of reasons to make a change in my life. It was time for me to do that, and I'm glad I did.
Okay, great. So just to sum that up, it sounds like you were pulled in several different directions, your business, family, hobbies, as you mentioned, and you were able to do okay. But it sounds like in some areas, for example, your business, you were able to succeed somewhat, but that was much at the expense of the others, right? And you were looking for something to kind of help you balance it out better and just, allow you to engage in all of that activities at a phenomenal level. Very good. Okay. So there are a lot of options out there in terms of hormone optimization, longevity medicine, etc. What made you decide upon Summa Up and myself, Dr. Ryan?
Yeah. Well, I checked out a few, and some of the names that you hear and we've heard for decades, and you look into those, and my question was how real, how legit, how much do they really care about my success? And when I decided to work with you, Dr. Ryan, and Summa Up and everybody that I've dealt with, it was because I felt like you cared. I knew you were going to be involved firsthand, and you have been every step of the way. It didn't feel to me like you were just going to prescribe something and ship it to me and wait for the check to come. And then, I was off the radar until it was time for more money. That's how I felt with a lot of the people that I saw, and I didn't really trust what they were going to bring to the table for me and how effective and how healthy it was going to be for me. I didn't feel like there was a holistic approach really coming from anyone but you. After we had an opportunity to talk and I got to know more about you, I did some research. I felt very comfortable with making the decision first, paying the money second, and then thirdly, after we really got into this, I've learned that it's better than I thought it was going to be.
That's really interesting. I like the fact that you kind of specifically address the concerns that a lot of potential patients have, the trust factor, the efficacy factor, because in many cases, it's hard to demonstrate that, upon an initial consultation. Was there something in particular that made you say, okay, this guy's for real, like one or two things?
Over the course of time, because I think we've known each other now for going on 6 months. So I've got more and more of that each each week, each month, the more we communicate, the more I learn, and the more you learn about me. And I can tell you're paying attention because you make recommendations, or you ask about, how I feel about something that we've talked about, or a goal that I have. You encourage me to stick with it and keep going. And that's very important to me. The biggest thing that I needed, I'm a grown man. I run businesses. I've been successful, but I didn't want to have to reinvent what I was trying to do with my health, my body. I don't know everything about that. And I wanted to be able to trust somebody like you, and ultimately trust you to lay a track for me to run on all levels, on a holistic basis. My body, my mind, my goals, my, supplements, food, all the nutrition and everything that we've done and talked about. I felt super comfortable. The more you indicated that you knew who I was and what I was after and how to get there, you provided me solutions. I didn't have any questions after that. I just wanted to take it and run with it and follow your direction.
I'm glad and I'm really happy that you mentioned that. We try to do this for all of our patients. I like the word holistic, where we take a comprehensive approach that looks at stress management, hormone optimization, testosterone, estradiol, growth hormone, thyroid, as well as reducing factors that can lead to chronic illness like glycation, oxidation, methylation, inflammation. And of course, I use my background as a prior physique athlete to work on aesthetics.
Yeah, well, that was actually
really
a big
important
thing for me too. You have experience in what I was after and the way I wanted to look and how I wanted to feel. And you've been through the pain and you've been through the gain, and you know what that means. So that was important to me as well.
Yeah, I think that's an aspect. I'm not necessarily wanting to compare myself to other clinics, but I think it's an aspect that's very important. Like, your diet and your training regimen is really, really key in terms of you achieving success in the longevity space, for sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the changes you saw after joining the clinic. It was really great to hear you talk about some of the things that reinforced your decision to join the clinic and made you feel good about it. But what were some of these specific changes you noticed after joining and starting therapy with me?
Hope. Right off, started seeing the results. I lost a fair amount of weight early on. And then as you coached me along, you'll see more, Cary. It'll look this way. And you gave me examples of how other people looked. And I'm like, I don't see myself being that. But you encouraged me, and we set the goal, beyond where I thought I wanted to go. And I'm almost there now. So the hope and the encouragement, now the realization and the confidence that comes from accomplishing what I've done so far, with so much left to go. I feel like I'm just getting started in so many ways. Looking different, feeling different, having the ability to maintain my energy throughout longer days. We laughed about my work schedule when we first met. It wasn't very long because I didn't want it to be, because I didn't feel like I was effective beyond a certain period of time. Now it's much more broad, and that's on all levels of my life. I don't have a problem waking up before my alarm at 5:30 in the morning and, going until, it's time to go to bed at night, whatever, whether it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, I try to get a good long night's sleep, and I do, but I'm awake and wide open. It's manifested itself on all levels. Business wise, we've talked about my business expansion. I'm doing that daily, weekly, monthly. All the things that we've talked about, goals for me personally and business wise, are happening because I've been able to cultivate the energy, and I never lacked for confidence, but I even have more now. That's awesome.
I'm actually going to pause for a second and just talk about your remarkable changes in terms of your physique. So this is a front profile of what you look like when you first started. And I think this is 30 plus pounds, right? Is it 35 or so?
I said I was around 240 when we met. At my heaviest, 245-ish. So I'm at 205.4 this morning.
Whoa, 205. So, oh my goodness, almost 40 pounds in, 245, 205. Amazing.
Yeah.
And you can see that even more clearly on the side picture here, the side profile picture. Pretty awesome. And then you did kind of talk a little bit about the changes in your business. And again, without going into too much specifics, what in general did you find went up after starting therapy and starting on our program through Summa Up?
I had a great year last year with my business all the way around. Having started in, we'll call it about September of 2022, now in February of 2023, what I've seen is through the course of business, which is watching the bottom line, watching margins and doing all those things, having more focus, really, I didn't expect this, but having more focus to pay attention to those little details that we need to dominate as entrepreneurs. The top line has grown about 15%.
Wow.
But the bottom line has grown 5%. That's a huge correlation. In other words, I was running good margins already. And really where I attribute that is paying attention more, focusing more, even having the cognitive ability to delegate better. I've added more things to my company, and that's taken a lot of focus, a lot of energy. And I've had that to do. I spent a lot of time on the road, 2 or 3 days a week. It was always a thing that I felt like, okay, I had an unlimited diet. I didn't limit anything. So I would eat whatever, drink whatever, do whatever. And the excuse was I don't have time to do differently. Well, the time was there. I just was using the excuses. And when we laid out the plan for me, and I had an understanding of how to make it happen, and the desire and the ambition to make changes in my life, it suddenly was second nature for me to take a prepackaged meal with me on the road, not go, eat the worst thing I could get a hold of, which I did often.
And I think that's really important to note. I mean, you obviously had some really powerful habits that allowed you to get your business to the point it was prior to joining, which is very, very good. Just reinforcement of healthy habits, as well as prioritization on the tasks that really make the biggest difference in your business and allow you to grow. And as you mentioned, put on add-ons. You said you're in the roofing business. I'm assuming perhaps marketing aspects, or putting in more personnel, or getting more clients, which probably, contributed to that phenomenal increase in such a short period of time in your top line, which is great. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk, because we talked about your physique, we talked about your business. What about your relationships with your family? You mentioned that one of your hobbies was to race cars with your son. Were you able to do that more?
Well, yeah, we've actually, last year we stayed close by. This year, we're actually running a Southeast series, which for racers means we're traveling to different tracks and running with different people. And it's an expansion of just what we love to do, which is go fast on racetracks with fast cars. All the physical and mental things that we've already discussed and that I've described for me play a big part in that, because driving is focus and energy, and being able to hang in there for a period of time. It's durability. I've really gained a lot of that. Plus, I'm a lot more comfortable in the car without that huge spare tire around my gut.
Yeah.
I had to buy a new suit.
That's wonderful.
Suit, and it looks a whole lot better on me too.
Very good. Very good. Another relationship that we talked about was your relationship with your wife. Have you been able to spend more time with her and engage in activities that are meaningful to both her and yourself after joining the clinic? Well,
a couple of new things with that. Number one, my wife had fallen into some of the same traps that I did. Physically, diet-wise, and that she has since found her own path, and she's doing her own thing. She's down about 15 pounds.
Wow.
Just over the past few weeks. I didn't really push one thing or another, but by the example that I am living every single day, it's a total lifestyle change on all levels. She saw the value in that over a period of time. I think she halfway thought I might do this for a temporary period of time and then relapse back into what I was doing. And now that she's seen that's not happening, this is real. And, the differences that you see on those pictures are very real in life. And so that makes a big difference on all levels with my wife. We'll celebrate our 34th anniversary in May.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It's huge. I mean, I look very similar physique wise as I did when I was 21 when I married her.
That's incredible.
Pretty cool.
And the next question I have to follow up with that is, do you feel the same way from an energy standpoint that you did now as you did at 21?
Oh, I wish not entirely, but a hell of a lot closer now than I've been in the past, at least 20 years. I'm still working on being more nimble. I'm at 55, nowhere near as nimble as I was when I was in my 20s and even 30s. But, I can do things now physically that just, a year ago, I never would have thought about attempting, just with moving around and doing things. I've always had a real positive outlook on life and the desire to be here for a long time and raise my family and, do all the things that I do. So now having a renewed hope, back to that expectation of longevity, I totally believe that, I've extended my life by a long, long time just with the simple changes that I've made. Simple, they haven't been easy, but they've been simple. And then just applying that has made all the difference in the world. And with your encouragement, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and that's another aspect that we touched upon briefly, but longevity is key, right? I do want you looking and feeling your absolute best. I want you achieving your ideal performance state mentally and physically, but I want you to stay in that position for a long time.
Yeah.
And we had talked about this on multiple meetings, but in the longevity space, there are many physicians that feel that 120, 130, even 150 may be the new limit for the vast majority of individuals, and living
Wow.
to that age range in excellent health and good mobility is the key. Okay. So just to kind of wrap things up, what would you tell someone who's watching this now and is uncertain about joining the clinic?
It's like getting married or having kids. I don't think there's ever if you're waiting for a perfect time, it won't come entirely. My perfect time didn't come. The time when I realized if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. Why delay any longer? So that would be my words of encouragement is if you have a reason to do this, then don't delay. Just go ahead and do it. My experience has been, I would trust you, Dr. Ryan, and everybody at the clinic and your guidance and all the things that you've done and provided and given me for encouragement and all those things have just proven to me the absolute value of the time that I've spent, the money that I've spent, making sure that I was doing things the right way to be sure that I was doing what was going to make me the best person I could be as myself. And that's what you've encouraged me to do. So if you're waiting to do this, stop waiting. There's no perfect time. It's now.
Thank you for that heartfelt response, Cary. I'm really happy to be a small part in your success, your continued success. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your experience with the clinic.